everybody. This is Dom from Upstate Supernatural. I have a friend with me. His name is Rich. And Rich has gone through some crazy experiences. He's going to be sharing some of those experiences with us. I'd like to give you that opportunity to share those, Rich. So, Rich, you've had experiences your whole entire life.
Yep, right about 6 or 7 was the first one.
And how would you describe those experiences? How would you describe, like, what's going on? What do you experience when that's happening?
Well, I guess we have to categorize these as 3 different types. There are the typical, and I say typical because most people, when you hear them describe it, they describe, I believe they're called shadow people.
Okay.
Middle of the day, dark figures. And then there are, and now I'm not into this researching the paranormal really, so
yeah,
I'm just going to call them what I call them, and I call them the watchers. That's what they do. They watch.
Okay.
And then you have the, for lack of a better term, interveners. They do not appear as dark figures. They appear as silhouettes in your side view. White, sometimes bluish. And then there is one instance of, and by one instance I mean multiple instances of one particular very physical manifestation. 4 foot tall, something or other that stalks me. Usually when I'm out and about. Sorry, this all kind of intertwines together and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. What do you want to talk about first?
Sure. So, you said it started at an early age. You said it started at when you were probably about 7.
My dad had a heart attack. He had diabetes real bad. He lived with my grandmother. And he was split from my mom, so we would go stay at my grandmother's house. And so I was upstairs sleeping, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I go down the stairs, and the first instance I ever saw, actually the only time I ever saw one of the watchers, the dark figures,
okay,
in the middle of the night was this night. Every other time it's been middle of the day. And at the bottom of my grandmother's stairs there was a door that went into the living room, and it was open. And I'm walking down the stairs, I'm about halfway down, and as with every instance I have ever had in my entire life, something says, stop. So I stopped, and then one of them walked in front of the stairwell from the door to the house is over here, walking from right to left towards the door, and I turned around and I went back upstairs, and I don't think I went back to sleep, and I definitely didn't get up till I heard someone else get up. I was about 6 or 7.
Now, so right there, you not only see certain forms of what you would call the unknown.
Yes.
So you also can hear them as well. Like, is there a certain certain form that you hear, or that you know that you hear?
It's more of a feeling, like a good or a bad feeling. Stop, don't go there, or proceed feeling. Sometimes it's a conversation, but not as frequent as proceed, stop, yes, no.
And does, just out of curiosity, does that come, you don't hear a voice, obviously, you're kind of making that very clear, you don't hear a voice, but is it like words being shown in your head, or something being shown within your mind to...
In the instances of, I think I have my own group of interveners, the white, the blue.
Okay.
It's never, they're not, I don't get the feeling that it's one particular individual. It's a set of individuals. And most instances, it's a feeling of, you should do this. And then sometimes, and I guess you could call this, people will say, well, you got to practice to get better at your ability. It's a picture. They'll throw a picture. They'll throw a word in my head. But most instances, it's just a feeling of stop, go, yes, no.
Okay. Is it something that really kind of changes your day? Like, does it affect you? In your personal life, does it affect you in that mannerism?
It affects me where I do whatever they say. I absolutely, under no circumstances, will I ever not do what they say. I used to live out here, and I rented a place from a friend of mine from the Army, and there was a trail next to the house. There is an old toilet just sitting out there, and I got bored one day, went for a walk, and I walked to this toilet, and I stopped. Was told, no, stop. You don't go past this. So I didn't. I left. I had a friend come over. She's into the paranormal. We went out, had a few drinks, and I was telling her about this, and she wanted to go see it. She is a strong believer in, I think it's called Wiccans, that stuff.
Yeah.
She has a tattoo of whatever it's called, the star.
Yeah.
On the back of her neck.
Okay.
So she wanted to go see it. I said, all right, but I'm only going to a certain point. Whatever you do is on you, but I'm telling you, that's a no-go. There's something there. She goes walking out. I stop where I stop. She searches around, says, I don't feel anything. Leaves. I get a text about an hour later. She's on the side of the road, panicking. She says there was something in the car with her. It followed her, and she said the back of her neck where her tattoo was felt like there was a hot iron on it. And then, she said, pray, whatever they do, whatever, a couple minutes, into her drive, and it went away. I don't go when they say don't go.
Now, how did you learn that? Did you learn that at a very young age when they tell you not to do something?
Yes. I'm not going to go into this, but I didn't have a very decent childhood when it came to a parental figure in my life. And a few times I did not listen, and it turned out poorly for me. And I don't do that anymore.
So you've came up with the terminology of the different individuals or entities or forms that you've encountered. How did you really kind of come up with that? And was there something that told you more of this is specifically this form, or
the interveners are always there, and they're the ones that speak?
Because I think a lot of people would be interested in like the classification of the different forms.
Okay. You drive down the road, you see the silhouette in the side view, and it's in the back seat. You turn around, there's no one there. That's the interveners. They're always there, out of view. They're always watching. I can't tell you exactly what they do, other than, like I said, they tell me when it's not a good idea to do something. If I had to put it into terms, I get the feeling that they fight a constant battle of some sort versus something else. I don't know what, but something else. And that's why I call them the interveners.
Okay.
In the middle of the night, I'll be sleeping. My house is in no way haunted. There are places where there are things where I'm told not to go, and I don't go. I bought my house knowing that it was fine. But in the middle of the night, you get that feeling. something's not right. And I will be woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, dead asleep, woken up, and then you can almost feel the... I'm not trying to... I'm saying battle, but maybe it's not a battle. It's a test of will.
The conflict.
Yes.
Like a certain conflict.
And I know it's there, and then I'm just awake for it. And awake is probably because I'm not sleeping. I'm in control of my own faculties. It's not as bad awake as when I'm asleep. So I stay awake until it's safe to go back to sleep.
Do you feel there's any basis for like faith of any religion or stuff like that? I mean, do you have a strong faith in like a certain type of religion, or
I would call myself agnostic. I don't agree with the I don't get into church doctrine. I don't like the forced, you will do this. It seems a bit controlled by humans for me. So I would say there is some sort of God, but as far as the Catholic Church or the Protestants, as far as they define it, not for me.
Okay.
And as far as that goes, I don't get there's no connection there for me. So whether it's a spirit, other dimensional being of our dimension but not of our consciousness, it's whatever it is, it's not attached to religion.
Okay.
That I'm aware of.
Without it being religion, without it, with angels and demons and things like that, do you feel ever like in harm's way with the input or some of the things that are occurring, with your experiences?
I've never seen a being, entity, something or other that would wish malicious intent, because, as I said, I listen and I don't. Okay. So,
right.
There is a sense of danger, but I don't go any closer to it than I'm told.
Because I know a lot of people, when they're going to see this, they're going to kind of in an aspect with like spirit guides, and not necessarily in the capacity of like your guardian angels that a lot of people would probably, relate to it, which again, you can relate back to religion with it. But, have you ever thought in that context that maybe they're almost like your spirit guides, or...
you could call it a spirit guide.
Okay.
But again, that's not what I would define it as, because a spirit to me is attached to... I wouldn't call them, I call them or they, for lack of a better term, the interveners or the shadow people. I wouldn't call them spirits.
Okay.
To me, that's not the feeling I get. It's almost as if they are them and we are us, and they just don't exist where we can see them. Okay,
so for instance, like a spirit in mind is a person, and I'm just trying to pick your brain on this. Mm-hmm. A spirit in mind is basically a person in his past, whereas these individuals they were never human.
Right.
Okay.
And I can't speak for the ones with malicious intent, or honestly, I can't even speak for the Watchers, the dark figures in the middle of the day, because if they don't get close enough, either they're not allowed, or I don't go near them. I don't get much from them. But as far as the whites and the blues, the interveners, they're definitely not. They weren't humans. They're not spirits. They're whatever. They're something else.
In a different form. You just don't feel they're human-based.
Right.
And I don't know if I should dabble into this, but I'm going to go ahead. I know you've been to Iraq. I know you've been in war. You've experienced some crazy things. I mean, we've known each other quite a while. Without getting too personal, have they had an impact on you when you were over there?
In a don't stand up, yes stand up, move over here, don't go there sort of capacity. I was a gunner. I rode in a truck, third truck. I was in 9 separate IED attacks, improvised explosive device. They take a mortar, or a round, or a shell. They attach a wire to it. They wait till you drive by and they blow it up. And I was in 9 separate ones, all of them either directly in front of or directly behind my vehicle. Also, the time I was on FOB, the forward operating base where we stayed, there were around 400-ish mortar attacks in the first 8 months. And one of them, actually a rocket attack, hit my building. I have pictures, actually, of my bed. The rocket hit my building, sprayed the room with shrapnel, and there's these thing called gear crosses, and all it is 2 2x4 set up in a cross shape, and you had a bulletproof vest with clay plates and a helmet. And I didn't have one of these until July 24th, 2007. And then I, exiting company, left them outside. I grabbed one. I gave one to there was 2 of them. I gave one to my buddy. I took one, put my stuff on there. And on July 25th, 2007, the rocket attack that sprayed shrapnel into the room happened. I jumped out of bed and I'm fighting with this cross. I got my vest off and I got a helmet, and there's nothing for this helmet to get stuck on. And the chin strap is attached and I'm yanking on it and I can't get the helmet off. And I was told to move now. You know, get out. I threw the thing and I ran out, and as I hit the door, the rocket hit the building, shrapnel sprayed through the room, and I got a big chunk of shrapnel cut across the top of my head, put a scar on my head, like a centimeter, not even, a couple millimeters lower, and it would have taken the top of my skull and my brain off. And if I had been standing at the end of my bed, where the picture that I'm going to give you is taken from, I would have taken that shot probably to the face, and the 20 shots that my friend Abdius, who was standing behind me at the doorway, took up his leg and in his vest, but I would have taken them in the chest and in the face, probably.
So I mean, they have constantly stayed with you. I mean, it's been, you know, since you were young to even as an adult. And what other experiences would you like to share about them? I mean, do you feel there's other people that may have these individuals around them as well, and are going through the same thing? Are you curious if other people are going through that as well?
I just deal with them as they come. I'm not really like... I kind of like hearing paranormal stories, but I'm not searching it out. I'm not gonna really looking for a... Oh, you see them too? Like, I mean, it'd be cool to find out, but I just know what I know, and I keep my head down and I maintain my lane. The other to that is the Watchers, and they are never closer than 15 feet, 20 feet. They always stay outside of that. I get the feeling that they don't want to be close to the interveners. I don't get the feeling they're malicious. To me, it's a game at this point after 33 years, where I basically say in my brain, I got you. Like, they run out from a tree. I've seen them on the side of the road, running down the road, run across the road, just mowing my lawn, and you'll catch one running from, it's always from something to another thing, or running from something out of your field of vision, and as soon as they get there, they're gone.
So they're always trying to hide?
Always.
Okay.
And they're always outside of that, and not usually, you see them in front of you, but usually they're just to the side at a 45 degree, on the left or the right, about here. And they will run center, but they're always running to something or out of. And it's never, like I said, it's never at night. I don't catch them at night. It's middle of the day, dark silhouette. I've seen anywhere from 2 to 3 feet tall to 6 or 7 feet. Don't really catch a glimpse of clothes. It's legs, hands, a head, and just a black silhouette.
Could you describe like how they look beyond the colors, or like do they have like a human aspect to them? Like obviously they have arms and legs.
The interveners, when you catch a glimpse, which you don't see them as often, are a 3D form. So you'll see the dome of their head. They don't really have hair, as if they're made of something else, but it's still a human silhouette. So like you'll see the curve of their head, the curve of what may appear to be a muscle on an arm as you see them. But the watchers appear almost as if they're two-dimensional, flat, like paper. Mm-hmm. And you always see them from the side, which maybe they are flat, and that's why they disappear, turn sideways, whatever. No. I don't know, but they're always two-dimensional, flat. There's no depth to them.
Do you have a theory in your own head of like their existence or their purpose?
They just watch. Like I said, I don't.
Well, I mean, for all the different things that you're seeing,
I don't get the feeling that they're malicious. They tend to be watching me, or I've seen them watching someone else, but I think it's easier for me to see them if they're focusing on my attention in my consciousness than it is them focusing on someone else. And like I said, they always stay away. They never come too close, and like I said, I feel like they want to get anywhere near the other ones, the interveners. And I don't really get much from them other than watching, hiding, and they just won't come close.
Because I know you have the intervener, the watcher.
And then there's this 3-foot tall bush-like creature with claws that I saw the first time when I was 16. I was a sophomore. I know this because I had a girlfriend who was a senior who was graduating. My mom was supposed to give me a ride to the high school to go watch her graduate, and she didn't show up, so I rode my bike. 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's pitch black out, and I'm riding home down my road, and I'm coming down this hill to go up another hill. And at the top of the hill, there were 2 dogs, but they were always chained. So, so I'm riding past this house, and it has no dog. I know the person that lives there, there's no dog. And I hear claws on the pavement behind me, right? So I know there's not a dog, so I'm wondering what this is, and I'm on my little BMX bike, and I turn around, and I see this 3-foot tall, I don't know what it is, but it definitely has a bushy head thing. It's like 3 foot tall, and it's got claws on its feet, and it has definitive arms. I've never seen the thing in the daylight, but that was the first time I saw it. I took off. The next time I saw it, I lived over in Auburn. Okay. I went down to the basketball courts at the elementary school down the road, and it was just getting dusk. So this is 4 or 5 years later, after the first time. Mm-hmm. And I'm shooting some hoops, there's lights out, and I'm told to look. So I look, and there's the little son of a bitch running at me again. And then I was told to move. So I moved. I got back in the truck, and I left. I've only ever seen the thing one other time, and it was in Iraq, and it was in passing, middle of the night. I was on a checkpoint. We were some high up Iraqi policeman was getting rolled up, and we're controlling a circle, and I'm sitting in my truck, and I saw in the distance running across the headlights.
I've watched quite a bit of different things. I'm not trying to give you a basis of what they are, but a lot of the descriptions that you've kind of given me are basically, they're called dimensional beings, is the terminology I believe I've heard. And people have seen similar things that you're describing. And another capacity, they've also seen beings that are like as large as a person's house, just standing there, and you know, there's no emotion. They see them, and it's been termed as like dimensional beings, is what I've heard it known as.
Like I said, could be that.
Right.
It's definitely not a ghost, you know. And they have a connection to this world because I can ask questions and receive answers. Playing a drinking game with cards, I can tell you the next set of 3 cards. I've gone 12 in a row before. You know, just almost premonition-like. Mm-hmm. So they have some sort of connection they can see in this world, but maybe dimensional.
It's just a lot of the things you're describing. I've heard it, and that's kind of how it was termed, was dimensional beings. Not necessarily angelic, not necessarily, you know, demonic or anything having to do with, you know, religion or heaven or hell. Just beings that are of a different dimension.
I mean, there's just instances of things, but they're just all simple, stupid things like, slow down, there's a cop, the next card in your game is X, don't talk to that person, or watch that person. And it's not as interesting for me, I guess, because I don't not listen. It seems
right. Well,
bad.
I mean, yeah.
So,
I mean, if you learned your lesson from not listening in the past, I can understand why, you know, you're not going to want to breach that.
Right. So,
thank you very much, Rich. Definitely thankful to be able to share your story, and hopefully everybody has more questions and see what answers we can find for them.
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much.